Good evening. So my name is Kugan and I'm the leader of this group, and followed by my two team members, which are Sishwan Raj Analaki James and Muhammad Khairul Hazik bin Aizal. So we are from section 3 and our project is entitled as Accident and Analysis Report, and the course code for this presentation is DAT20102. So before going into methodology, we will be discussing about what the issues we took for this research. So the event that we took for this research is actually from Top Glove Company, which occurred on 29th October 5:45 a.m. A Bangladesh worker named Biblob Mia got stuck his hand in a rotating shaft when he was cleaning the washing brush tank because of his loose gloves. His loose gloves got stuck into the rotating shaft and followed up by his whole hand breaking his wrist. So at that morning, after the incident happened, he was given first aid and he was immediately brought to the hospital. And then after some hours, Top Glove Company was stated that his condition was stable. So now we go to the methodology part, where we discuss about what method we use to evaluate this study. So the methodology we use for this study is hierarchy, or also known as hazard identification, risk assessment and risk control. Okay. The purpose of using hierarchy is to determine all variables that might endanger employees and hazards. There are 4 crucial steps that to be followed by each of them to achieve the purpose of hierarchy. Okay, first is sort your job task into categories. So when we are doing a job, we can actually break down into multiple work activities as stated here. So then we follow up the step 2, which is actually identify the hazards associated with each activity. So each of the activity we have listed before will have each hazards on its own. Then assess risk by assessing and calculating the risk associated with each hazard. So we need to assess the risk associated with each hazard by using the formula likelihood times severity. So likelihood, we have the range until 5, and severity we have the range 5, where 1 is the lowest number and 5 is the highest number. So then the 4th step is to follow, determine if the risk is tolerable and put in place the control mechanism if it is. So if the risk is higher than 12, which is actually higher than medium, so then we need to provide higher ability to focus on that issue and solve that issue quickly. Okay, so the risk control have some of the mechanisms like administrative controls and safety controls to evaluate the risk. Okay. Then we go to the recommendation part, and I will provide it to Stephen Raj.
Thank you, Taruna. So now we are going to looking about the recommendation part. So as well as this real world incident, so the real step or precaution step that have been executed as a preventive measure for this accident was the Department of Occupational Safety and Health PERA issue an order to immediately stop work for each and every activity currently on progress in the production line where the accident was committed. So we are going to looking about more recommendation or more proposed recommendation for this kind of accident if there is any kind of this kind of accident was occur in any workplaces. So the first recommended risk control measures was elimination. So elimination is known as eliminating or get rid of the source of risk. So for an example, according to the analysis of the accident, Top Glove have to limit the working time of their employees and increase the safety precaution of workers during handling with a dangerous or harmful machine that might injure them. So the second risk control measure that can be proposed was known as substitution. This risk control measure was replacing the equipment or machine that currently in use with an alternative product that hazardous and capable in order to ensure the safety of the employee or worker when handling it. And another risk control measure that can be suggest or can be considered as a recommendation for to be executed when such kind of accident have been occur was administrative control. So for the administrative control was helps to minimize and reduce the existing risk through the execution of a system. So, for example, when implementing this way as a routine at tubular factories by reducing the time or slot of working duration of employees in order to minimize the rate of accident, which causing mental pressure and leads to an accident. So, administrator control is another best way to to be recommended when such kind of incident or accident have been occurred. So that's all for the recommendation part. So I'm leaving back to my leader Taruna Kugan to continue with the discussion part.
Okay, thank you, Steven. So we will be continuing with the discussion part, where we'll be going to discuss about the factors that caused this incident. So the primary factors that causes the incident was the loose gloves worn by the worker. Okay, the gloves was anti-chemical gloves. So his gloves was loose, so that the gloves got stuck into the rotating shift and followed by his hand. So when the shift rotates, the entire wrist was broken. So that the main factor that causes this event. Okay, the second factor which causes this event is the longer duration of work time or overtime work. So it has been stated in the report that the victim was working in his end of 13-hour shift, which is actually pretty tired, and he was also working from night to morning. So these also are a major factor which can cause the mental pressure towards workers, because the workers receive mental pressure due to the high demand in gloves when the COVID-19 pandemic was on peak. So then, even though these kind of events occur, but if we follow the recommendations that have been stated in the recommendations section, we could overcome all the complications that I faced before. We hope that the workers are trained well and provided with limited working time in order to prohibit the undesirable scenes from happening. So the next part I will give to Muhammad Khairul Haziq to follow up with the conclusion part.
Okay, thank you Taruna Kugan. Okay, for my part is conclusion. Okay, for the conclusion of the incident, first, safety and health need to take heavy risk control measure toward the occur of such kind of accident. This action need high focus and attention because of the impact of the risk was high and harmful to the employer. Okay, for the second is safety and health. Officer needs to have a close touch with the workplace area to be more precaution. Also able to notice important equipment or element that needs safety sign, which can cause hazard, including malfunction machine under maintenance that needs awareness for the employer before handling it. Okay, for the third is safety and health officer have the responsibility to have frequent conversation and communication to get feedback and suggestion about existing precaution from employer in order to improve strength and the protection rate of employer. That's all for me. Next.
Okay, so that's all from our presentation. Thank you for joining us today.